What is up, everybody? Welcome into the Full Coverage Football Show. My name is Jeremy Somerville. I am joined by my co-host, as always, Mr. Drew Ward. And tonight we are joined by a very special guest. That is Mr. Daniel Kelly, author of Whatever It Takes, the true story of a fan making it into the NFL and a former NFL scout. This man is everything you want to look for in life. You want to work your ass off and you want to push to get there. He did it. He's a true story of what can happen if you just work hard and push it. Daniel, how are you tonight?
Hey, I'm doing well, Jeremy. And Drew, thank you so much for having me on your show. I'm excited to be on.
We appreciate it, man. So tell us a little bit about yourself, how you got in the NFL, and what led to writing the book.
Yeah, absolutely. Started back when I was growing up in Minnesota. I was 8 years old, growing up there and in a small town, and my parents were huge Vikings fans. And I was they had a playoff game on TV. And it was the Redskins playing the Vikings, and it was love at first sight for me, but not for the Minnesota Vikings, but rather for the Washington Redskins. And you may be wondering why I'm wearing a Cleveland Browns hat, but I'm going to get to that story in a little bit.
Awesome.
But anyways, yeah, it was absolutely incredible. It was love at first sight. I loved the team. I loved everything about them. Just from the fans to the RFK Stadium, to Joe Gibbs, John Riggins, the Hogs, the whole thing. And I was magnetized to the team, like a magnet. Refrigerator. I was absolutely magnetized by the team, and I a couple weeks later they won their first Super Bowl 17, and I was off to the races from there. And of course, the Redskins went to the Super Bowl but lost to the Oakland Raiders, 38-9. And how hard did I take the game? I took the game really hard. I threw up and missed 3 days of school. So from that point,
that's how you know he's a true fan.
That's right.
Yeah, absolutely. That's how I knew it. Yeah, that's how I knew it was in my blood at that point. From there, just became more and more fanatical about the Redskins. 13 years old. I had a chance to the Redskins, my first Redskins game. They were in town to play the Minnesota Vikings, and I had an idea that night. It was Christmas night. The game was December 26, 1987. That night before the game, Christmas night, I got an idea to call the hotels in the area and to see if I could maybe talk to some of those players. And so I dialed a bunch of hotels, and finally a woman answered the phone. She said, "Good evening, Bloomington Marriott. How may I direct your call?" And I said, "Extra Manley's room, please." And he was the star defensive end of the team at the time. He was Morris Taylor and two best pass rushers of football. And the phone started to ring. And next thing you knew, basically Dexter answered the phone, and I'm like, "Hello?" And he says, "Hello." And I said, "Dexter." He goes, "Yeah, who's this?" I said, "This is Dan Kelly. I'm one of your biggest fans." He said, "Hey, what's going on?" And he was in the mood to talk that night. In fact, told me what it was like to sack the Cowboys quarterback, Danny White, which was an awesome story. And I loved hearing that. And, of course, from that point, I told him how his poster was hanging on my bedroom walls. And he said, "Hey, how do you feel about coming out to the team hotel? I can introduce you to all the guys on the team. I can sign your poster, take pictures with you. How would you feel about that?" I was like, "Absolutely." So I come on out. So I ran out of my parents' living room. Dexter Manley invited me to the team hotel. Dexter Manley, they're like, sure. And I said, "He did." And so from that point, my parents took me to the team hotel the next morning. And sure enough, we got to the Bloomington Marriott out by the Mall of America right now. And there is Dexter in his gray leather his pants and his press coat. He was waiting for me. He was waiting for me in the lobby. So I was like, "Wow." Matter of fact, there's pictures in my book, Whatever It Takes. You see this?
Yeah, I was scrolling through the pictures. That's awesome.
Yeah, I do see it. That's fantastic.
That's awesome.
That's what Doug Williams. That's what Doug. And then this one over here. Let's see if I can see this one. This one. That's what.
Yeah.
Just a young lad sitting there, man.
Yeah, up there is all the so that was incredible. So went in there, got a chance to see all the guys, meet all my heroes. They autographed the poster for me, took pictures with me. Of course, few explained 22 against the Denver Broncos, 42-10. And it's just it's all I did was breathe and sleep against football. If I wasn't talking about the Redskins, I was I was reading about the Redskins. I was reading about the Redskins. I was dreaming about the Redskins. If I was dreaming about the Redskins, I was reading about it. I mean, it was just all the time. Redskins all the time. I mean, and I wanted to play ball. I mean, this burning passion was inside me to play, and but I'm terrible at it. As a matter of fact, I played my junior year in high school, and I was the only kid on my entire high school team not to have enough playing time to letter. That's how bad I was to play. Which is my claim to fame was I dropped the interception. It was I was down. We were down 40-0 for a high school team, and they put this and the ball was towards me. 40-0, we're getting kicked.
That's when your playing time was available, when you were down 40-0.
Absolutely, yeah. Three guys ahead of me had a broken leg, shin splint, and another guy had a sprained ankle. So
kind of lost you there for a second. You were breaking up. I don't know if you can still hear us. We may have lost Daniel. Can you hear him, Drew?
No, I can't. Daniel, can you hear us?
Dude's telling a great story, and now it's getting choppy.
I can't hear him.
I can't either. Give me a second here.
Yeah.
All right. I don't know if he notices we got disconnected here, but yeah, Daniel's telling a great story here about being with the Redskins, and I'm going to have him call me and put on speaker so we can hear him. Hopefully you can hear him through my headphones pretty solid. But we're going to disconnect Daniel for a second. It's not working here. But yeah, what a great story he was telling about how he only got playing time because the guy in front of him got hurt, got shin splints. And, I mean, this guy worked his ass off to get into the league. Huge Redskins fan. And I'm trying to see if he's back in, but he's not. Let me add him back to the stream. He is officially gone. All right. He's off. He'll call me here in a second, hopefully. Yeah, what a story he's telling. I mean, this guy – you can see his work ethic right there where he just kept calling and calling and calling.
It's a different world, isn't it now? Like,
yeah.
I don't know if you – like, I feel like nowadays you couldn't just ask for somebody and get through. And what a different world it is. It's fantastic.
Yeah, it's definitely a totally different world. He's trying to join back in here on StreamYard right now. Looks like it's not working. His internet was a little choppy. Let me see if we can add him back. Hey, Daniel, can you hear us? I'm going to go with no. He is rocking the Browns hat, which is awesome. I don't know if he can hear us at all. He's kind of frozen there. A little bit more issues, but absolutely great story. Hopefully he does notice that I did send him the message on Twitter to just give me a call and I'll add him on. But we got a great show for you tonight. We started off right off the bat with Daniel because we just wanted to get it going and make sure that he was actually on this time. You know, the last couple times he was supposed to be on, we had technical issues. Looks like his internet's killing us. It's a little choppy. Maybe he's on the dial-up or something there in Key West. He said he was in Key West. What a great spot to be. I don't care what the internet would be like down there. I'm hanging out in Key West. You can't go wrong.
Don't need it.
But tonight, great show, obviously. We're going to talk around the NFL. We're going to talk practice. I think we got him back. You back? Can you hear us, Daniel?
Yes, I can. Do you hear me?
Yeah, you're back. Yeah, buddy. I did send you a message on Twitter if you did want to call in if this doesn't work again, if you get disconnected. Yeah, you were telling us a great story about, you know, meeting the Redskins and you're a fan of the Redskins. How did you get in the NFL? Let's hear that part of the story before we lose you again, possibly.
Yeah, absolutely. It was incredible. I actually, I like I said, I had this burning passion for football, and I had a chance to barely pass through high school, available of a small community college. Had a chance to intern with Tony Minnesota Vikings when I was 21. He left Tampa back for the real world and selling vacuum cleaners door to door and doing whatever I could to survive. And then at 24 years, at 24 years old, I had a chance to work at Bank America Mortgage as a loan officer. You guys hear me okay?
Yeah, we can hear you now.
Yeah, we can hear you.
You're good. So
you're a Bank of America as a loan officer. How the hell do you end up in the NFL? I mean, you should be working at the bank. Right? What's going on?
Hold on. I'm getting there. I'm working at a call center at a bank, right? And I ended up, so I was saying a real estate law meeting one day, and I was like, what am I doing here? My dream is to be an NFL scout. I got to go for it. It's better to go for it and not get it than to wonder what it could have been. And so I actually, these ideas start coming to my mind that, hey, I got a little satellite dish. I can stop by some pen and paper at Target on the way home, subscribe to, say, the DirecTV's satellite package and for college football. And so I started. And that turned into be an amazing 7-month journey. I worked full time, like all day and all night. I got about 10, 15 a week. I would write scout reports, and that turned into a self-published 350-page NFL draft report. And I sent basically 3 copies of that as my resume to every team in the NFL overnight mail for another $1,300. I put about $3,600 total into the project. It was my resume, no guarantee, and I went ahead, East, South, and West to every team in the NFL. I personalized one book for every GM, every head coach, every director of player personnel, and sat back and waited. And that's when the call came from the Jets.
That is absolutely incredible. Go ahead, Drew.
Dan, what kind of time do you estimate that you put into that work that you ultimately put out to these teams to get you the chance that you had?
Did we lose him again? I mean, he was talking about 7 months he put in every day after work. I mean, we got that much out of it. I don't know if we lost him again, but hopefully he does unfreeze there. I don't know what you guys can see, but think about what a story that is, to work your ass off and push and push and push. Send out 3 copies of your resume to every team. Spend, I think he said $3,600 just to get a chance to be in the NFL. I mean, it's absolutely incredible story. And for those of you listening and watching right now, listening on the audio version, watching on the video version, go to Amazon.com, go to BarnesandNoble.com, buy his book. It's called Whatever It Takes, The True Story. Hello?
Hello, Jeremy?
Yeah.
Yeah, there we go.
Sorry about that.
No problem.
I think I don't know what it is down here.
This is
reception. It's not that great.
You can hear him good, Drew?
Yeah, this is perfect.
All right. I mean, you're in Key West, bro. The internet in Key West doesn't need to be anything. You're in Key West. It's a great spot for you. But we do have Daniel back here on the phone. We were just talking about what an amazing story it is that you put out 3 copies to each team. You said $3,600?
Total, yeah. $2,300 in cash and $1,300 on a credit account for overnight mail. And I sent that book as my resume with no guarantees, and I sent it to all the teams in the league with just wait back and step back and wait and see what the response would be.
That's amazing. And then you got the job with the Jets. What was it like working with Scott Pioli, Eric Mangini, Bill Parcells, Bill Belichick? I mean, the guys who were with the Jets at that time that you got the job, what was that like? What did you learn from those guys?
A lot. It was an incredible experience. To be honest, I was a little bit starstruck when I first got to the team.
Understandable.
Being around, absolutely, because being around those guys after growing up, watching especially Parcells and Belichick, I watched since I was a little kid with the Giants. I mean, that was the Redskins' biggest rival back in the day. It was the Giants and Belichick with his umbrella zone and all that. So being around those guys daily and walking past them in the hallway and being around them was absolutely. It was incredible.
It's amazing what you could have learned.
What's that?
It's amazing what you could have learned from those guys. I mean, I understand being starstruck, but what you could have learned from those guys is just something that it's unbelievable.
Yeah, I learned quite a bit. Just being around the environment. The environment ran like a well-oiled machine. It was extremely organized. There was an extremely high level of accountability built into it. It was extremely high expectation to get to the Super Bowl. I remember, like after the first year we lost the AFC Championship game, and Scott Pioli and JoJo Wooden, who's now the director of player personnel with the Chargers, myself, were riding down Orlando together in the car. It was kind of quiet in the car, and I just made kind of a small comment. I was like, well, last year was sure great. We were 1 game away from the Super Bowl. And I meant it in a positive way, but Pioli turned around and he said, I don't ever want to hear you say that again. 1 game away isn't good enough. and the whole car just went silent. And so that was the environment. Parcells had a saying, "One wrong, all wrong." So making mistakes was really frowned upon. There was such a high level of accountability, a high level of professionalism, and a high level of experience. They were very tenured coaches. I was also on staff with Charlie Weiss, as well, and Romeo Cornell and all those guys, Mike Tannenbaum, Dick Haley, was the architect of all 4 Super Bowl victories for the Steelers back in the 70s with Scott's boss. So it was just, even the young guys who were breaking into the building, guys start after me, like Brian Gates and Trent Baalke were there, who both went on to become GMs in the NFL. And Chris Shaves, now the director of pro personnel for the Chiefs, I trained into to his position. So I mean, we had stars everywhere you looked, and so it was an incredible experience. I learned a lot. I outlined a lot of what I learned in my book, Whatever It Takes, and just learned a lot about intangibles, how to look for intangibles in players. Parcells called them critical factors. Some of those critical factors was a player, was he dependable? Was he coachable? Was football important to him? Or some of the critical factors that were intangibles that I learned to look for. I learned how to look for players specifically for a specific system, a team system. For example, if you run a 3-4 base defense, you don't want to go looking at free agency for a 4-3 defensive end because they're asked to do two totally different things. In a 3-4, they're asked to hold the point of attack when linebackers come in and make plays, kind of the idea. In a 4-3, of course, the defensive ends do a lot more pass rushing. So it's just learning system-specific things. Was very eye-opening for me. Being just going to the 4th straight NFL scouting combine in Indianapolis, being around that, learning from that. I had a chance to attend league training at the NFL league office for a week with a salary cap and contracts. So I mean, it was just so much to learn. I could literally go on for hours of all the things I learned, but that was the most part. And really the information gathering. That was maybe one of the biggest things I should interject. Just learning how big of a deal information gathering is as far as part of the evaluation process. Because scouting's not just about turning on the tape and watching the player writing reports. It's also a lot of information gathering about the guy, who he is, his character, and everything else, and what he's done off, talking to people he may know, finding out what kind of guy he is. And now, of course, as the game has evolved, and scouting's evolved even more so, that all the teams are now looking at a player's social media as well to see what he's posting and what he's all about. So there's just so much that goes into in terms of information gathering. It's about half the evaluation process.
And in your 4 years, what was the biggest step in your development? How did it develop the most, your role?
Oh, I'm sorry. Say that one more time.
In your 4 years with the team, how did your role develop, do you feel?
Well, I started on my first 2 years, I was a pro personnel assistant, so I was just kind of did everything they asked me, that type of thing in the department, everything from, doing cut-ups of tapes to getting guys to the airport to getting chicken wings on game planning night for the coaches. They would inhale about $400 worth of wings. So I did everything they asked me. So my 3rd season after Belichick and Pioli left for New England, I ended up being the Jets special team scout. I believe I was the first special team scout in the position in NFL history. And what that entailed was me evaluating every kickoff return, punt return player for the upcoming opponents for the Jets, and then writing scouting reports on what I saw on the field, and then reporting that. I developed a color-coded grading system. So I did, like blue was the best, green was good, gray was average, and pink was terrible. And, so I would color code all the players on all 4, special teams, coverage units. And, then I would turn that in, usually about a 20-page report every week to our special teams coach at the time, and meet with him weekly, Mike Sweatman, and he would use those reports and combine them with his game planning, coaching preparations. And really I'd be able to identify, the colors helped him to identify where the greatest areas of personnel weakness were in our opponents, of course, and then we shifted our guys around and we're able to play to our strengths and exploit some of the opponent's weaknesses. So that was a really big deal. It turned into I wrote another 350-page book that year, evaluating. Wow. I went ahead and evaluate all the rest of the guys too in the league. So I evaluated that season. every kickoff return, punt return player in the NFL. I developed with Chris Shea, I developed an Excel spreadsheet, like a grading system that weighted all the special teams players, so, depending on how many units they played on, as well as I developed a revolutionary system that I believe can build the best depth in the NFL by using this system and have the most dominant special teams in the league. And, of course, having the most dominant special teams in the league helps the team control the field position. If you control the field position,
100%.
your offense in a better. Yeah, you put you in a better position offensively. You put the other team, the opponent, in a worse starting field position. And of course, so you just give yourself a mathematical advantage. Much like Bill Walsh's system was mathematically predicated on a percentage, a high percentage passing game. The same type of math applies to the special teams. So it was a real incredible experience. My third season. Now during my third season, my daughter was diagnosed with neuroblastoma cancer, stage 4, and so that was really difficult to deal with at the same time. So I worked mostly from home doing that special teams thing. I would come in at night. And in my fourth season, we had another change of management. We had Herm Edwards come in as the head coach. We had Terry Bradway come in as our new GM from Kansas City, where he worked under Carl Peterson. And then I had I was basically a scout of other leagues before the team made the decision to let me go out to my fourth year.
That's awful news about your daughter, but it's amazing that you still kept working. I'm sure you started doing it for her to make sure that you were definitely providing for her and taking care of her. And I hope she's better now. And before we let you get out of here, because we could talk all night, we could talk football, and everything you said there is absolutely amazing. And I hope it's all in the book. I haven't got to read the entire thing just yet, which is great. And you can get that book on Amazon.com. You can get it at Barnes & Nobles. It's whatever it takes. The true story of a fan making it in the NFL. Before we get you out of here tonight, and we hope you'll come back again another time, but I do want to ask you two more things. Thank you. That's awesome. Thank you. 2 questions. Who is the best player you ever scouted? And you got to tell the Browns GM story. So I guess it's a comment and a question.
Yeah, the best player I ever evaluated. Well, that's the tough one. There's about 4,000 players that go through my head when you say that. Literally, I've been doing this on and off for about 30 years now. So the best player I've ever evaluated that I've had a chance to evaluate. I'm just thinking, I love, oddly enough, I loved Aaron Hernandez coming out of college. I thought that Aaron was going to be special. I thought he was almost had Hall of Fame talent coming out. He was like he's one of the guys that pops in my mind. I loved Tim Tebow coming out. I loved Randy Moss back in '98. He jumps in my mind as somebody who I really loved coming out. I thought he was going to be extremely special, and he turned out to be. So those are some players that just jump off the top of my head, coming out of college.
Yeah, we'll definitely have to, next time you come on, we'll get more in depth with the Tebow response, because that one's kind of surprised me. But I can see the leadership skills and how that can translate. Now, before we let you out of here, one more thing. How'd you end up getting the interview with the Browns to be the GM?
Yeah, the Browns thing was interesting. That was completely on the blue. 2017, and that's why I was wearing the Browns hat early on in our show tonight before we froze out there. And I had a dream one night, and the dream was extremely real. And in this dream, I was sleeping at night, and I had a dream, and I was the general manager in the dream of the Cleveland Browns. And it was as real as watching a television show. And I've never really had a dream to feel quite that lucid. And so when I woke up the next morning, the Holy Spirit said to me, God says, write a card, write a note to the owner of the Cleveland Browns and tell him you can put together a Hall of Fame staff, but within 3 weeks of given the opportunity, and send him a copy of your book, whatever it takes. And so I told my wife, Samantha, I said, well, here's what God told me to do. And so we did it. We were both working a sales job in Tempe, Arizona at the time. We stopped at FedEx Kinko's after work. We went overnighted something to the Cleveland Browns to Jimmy Haslam. And, it's extremely hard to get something in these guys' hands. These guys are billionaires. They're very well insulated. And so we didn't give it another thought. We left for our vacation for anniversary, came back. My wife's going through the mail in the kitchen. She goes, oh my gosh. I said, what? I startled them. I'm like, what is it? Like a big bill or what we get, right? She's like, she held up this letterhead from the Cleveland Browns. And I was like, oh, wow. And so we opened up the letter, and it was Jimmy Haslam's personal stationery. And it said, Dear Daniel, thank you so much for your copy of your book, whatever it takes. Please know that, we're putting together a team the best we can that Cleveland richly deserves. And if you have the time, please feel free to put down your ideas on paper and send them to me. I would love to take a look at them sincerely. And he hand signed it. Sincerely, Jimmy. And so I was off to the races. So that turned into be a 166-page proposal I wrote over the next 7 months. Revolutionary proposal, which I proposed that I could build a Super Bowl championship team in Cleveland that next year. And of course, they were coming off a winless season. So telling Mr. Haslam, I said, early on in my proposal, I said two things is true, sir. I said, number one, I'm either clinically and utterly insane, or I'm about to build the greatest dynasty in the history of the National Football League. It's up to you to decide in the pages to follow. And I had a lot of outside the box things. I believe greatness is defined as being different in the NFL. If you look at a lot of the great coaches and people that have been in the league, you look at Bill Walsh from the West Coast. You look at something even as recent as the Wildcat with the Miami Dolphins, different wins. And so a lot of my proposal was very outside the box ideas. Some ideas are being implemented right now in the NFL. Like a 2-quarterback system. Even New England's looking at going to a platoon system. I heard today, maybe looking at 2 quarterbacks, like Door does, or what Baltimore did. And so there's a lot outside the box ideas. So I sent him his proposal, and I told my wife Samantha, who I was going to make my co-general manager. She's become the first female GM in NFL history along with me. And I told her, I said, listen, I think we need to get more aggressive, because part of my proposal was that I was not going to have a punter on my roster. I was going to go for it every single 4th down, and I had a coach that could do that, do it extremely well, probably better than anybody else in America, and that's Kevin Kelly. He's a high school coach right now, somebody who's on Belichick's radar, goes up to Foxborough once a year to meet with Bill, and he's won 7 state championships for Pulaski High, a guy that never punts, and he's mathematically figured out how it works and how to do it. And so I put this whole proposal together, and I told my wife Samantha in December, I said, you know what, we really got to get more aggressive about this. And she goes, what do you think? And I said, no, I think we need to fly to Cleveland. She goes, well, should we wait for an invitation? I said, no, I don't think so. And so we went ahead. I mean, we invested over $100,000 worth of time and money and so forth into the project, and we went out and bought a nice suit for me and everything with the brown and orange tie and everything, and we got my wife Samantha got me 2 tickets to fly from Phoenix there to Cleveland. So we flew 5 days. We flew from Phoenix to Cleveland. We landed. We rented a car. We drove to Berea. We got changed. We drove over there, said a prayer, took each other's hand, walked in the front doors of the Cleveland Browns together, and the security guard said, how can I help you today? At the front desk. And I said, well, we're here to talk with Mr. Haslam. And he said, your names are? And I said, Daniel and Samantha Kelly. And he said, hold on for a minute. He checked the list. He goes, your names aren't on the list. And I said, no. I said, but we didn't correspond with Mr. Haslam. And he said, well, hold on for a second. He disappeared for about 5 minutes. He came back. He said, listen, guys, you're really going to have an invitation to meet with Mr. Haslam. He said, let me take down if you want to leave your name and number. So we did. We didn't hear anything back at the point. Of course, they had hired John Dorsey, but it was an incredible experience, a real journey of faith. It's the first time I walked back into a building, an NFL building, since leaving the Jets. In fact, my next book is to be called The Dream. I'm writing a book about the experience itself, and it's a journey of 2 fans trying to become the general manager of Cleveland Browns and do the impossible, ... again. Because my first go around with the Jets, I went from working at the bank to going to working on arguably the best staff in NFL history, and I believe it can be done again. And it was an incredible experience, to have a chance to go through that and to receive a letter back from Mr. Haslam like that was awesome. That he would send that to me and ask me for my ideas. So I believe it's going to happen at some point. It's just a matter of when.
Well, Daniel, I wish you the best of luck with that, and we can't wait to read the new book when it comes out. And as being a Browns fan, if you would have built a dynasty here, I would have kissed you, man. I'm not going to lie, if you won a Super Bowl here. But I do want to thank you for your time tonight, and thank you for joining us. I hope you come back on the show, and I hope you have a great rest of your night, brother.
Hey, thank you so much. You guys, too. Thank you so much for having me on your show. I would love to be back whenever you want me, and I'll prepare for that kiss, because when it's all comes, we're gonna run the table.
I'm promising it to you, man. I'm promising to you. All right, my brother. You have a great rest of your night.
You guys get the press conference.
We appreciate it. We appreciate it.
Yeah, keep up the good work, guys. Thank you so much.
Thank you, man. You have a great one. That was Daniel Kelly, author of Whatever It Takes, a true story of a fan making it in the NFL. What a story. And the Browns thing, I'm not even lying. I would kiss him if he won a Super Bowl for the Browns. I'm not going to lie. But, wow, the whole non-punting thing and everything, I hated to kick him off that way. But
no, that was rough.
I mean,
the no punting thing was – listen, and I've heard different. I know what he's talking about as far as the coach and the mathematic philosophy. Just listen, man. Hey,
Why not?
he's made it as an NFL scout. Who the hell am I to say that he's higher than a kite on that take?
Absolutely incredible.
I'm not here. No, awesome story. Listen, we'll fix issues because I'd love to get in here and get in some questions as well. But I thought it worked out well. And to be honest, and hopefully everybody listening to this, I thought you could hear it pretty well as well over this. So hopefully you guys got to enjoy that because the dude's got a crazy story. And like we were saying, some things that like today would never happen. This guy just did it like, with you can't call people's hotel rooms and things like that. You could anymore. But it was wonderful to have him on. I would love to have him on again. He's definitely he's fired up. I love his enthusiasm. I really do.
I didn't know when to ask him questions because I didn't know when he was going to stop. Like he's telling everything,
awesome.
and I felt bad
awesome.
because I'm like, I could let this dude talk all night, and we're just sitting here. I'm just holding the phone to my headphones here, like letting the dude talk. Great guest, Daniel Kelly at Daniel Kelly Book. Wow, incredible. We got a whole ton of stuff still to go on for the show. We're already a half an hour in, but let's move on to our next topic. It was great to do a little recap of that. We got another guest coming up, Joseph Herff, who writes for BearGogglesOn.com, part of the Fansided Network. And now we're going to talk practice, not a game, practice. And I can't get the thing to work right now, but I'll get back to it here in a second. Let me find it here. We're having all kinds of fun.
We're at it. Can't hear it, man.
And now the audio's not working.
All right, let's just work. We don't need it. We don't need AI. Everybody knows.
Hey, we know what he's saying. That's all that matters. But around football, we're talking practice. What are we talking about practice for? Because right now, every time you get an update on your phone, it's something happening in training camp. And this happens every year. We get so hyped up about what's happening in practice. OBJ made a one-handed catch. OBJ made a one-handed catch between two defenders. You got to see what Christian McCaffrey did.
Does OBJ ever catch it with two hands?
No. Who needs two hands?
He makes like these incredible catches. Was like, you could have just caught that with two hands, dude.
And it sucks we're not getting audio on that. This audio, whole thing's messed up. We're going to fix it one day. We're whatever. But anyway, yeah, I'm sure your phone's blowing up right now. Every time you get an update about the Lions, it's something that happened in training camp. It's something that happened in practice.
There's so many
people. Go ahead.
The team slogan is Dagger Time.
Dagger time. All right.
So that's what's new with my team. I got an update about that. Dagger Time.
And does that hype you up? Are you ready for the season? Does that make you feel like 16-0 now?
Pretty super hyped. I mean, I'm hyped for football. I just don't. Everything's weird, man. Like, we want like NFL football. Like, we think it's gonna happen, but everything's just so weird. No preseason. Like, it just doesn't feel right. We should be watching. We should be talking about preseason games. We should be talking about how Drew Lock threw 4 passes and 3 of them went straight into the ground. Or like, you know what I mean? But we're not. Yeah. We're not.
Nope.
So we're jumping right into it. But I'm sorry to get off. But yeah, I mean, I don't know.
And maybe I'm being a little too hard on all the people getting hyped about practice because we don't have anything going on. We don't have those preseason games. But I'm sick of it. We're talking practice.
Lions fans have been crucifying Jeff Okudah, saying he's a bust 3 days into. So it's where we're at right now with sports. I just can't wait for it to get started so people shut their damn mouths. Or at least talk about losses and like, I mean, Jeff Okudah's it's been 3 days. I mean, the kid, like, what do you want? I mean, like, what are we doing here? Like, I don't get it. But I digress. I mean, it's again, all that's coming out is goofy ass stories and how this player looks super awesome this day and people getting injured as shit.
Mm-hmm.
That's where we're at.
Nick Chubb got hurt, 2 or 3 days ago, and I instantly said he shouldn't play another snap in practice. We know who Nick Chubb is. Put him out there game 1 against the Ravens, and the guy's going to run for 150 yards.
But to me personally, though, in as much as I respect that, and I think that you're right, I just think there's going to be a good amount of injuries early in the season this year, just based off of not having preseason. I mean, these guys can say they don't need preseason, but real reps are real reps, man. And I think you're going to see more. Hugh Jackson will say the soft tissue injuries. We got to present the soft tissue injury. And that didn't do well for him, but in theory he might be somewhat right. But those are the things you think your hammies and things like that are kind of going to be the injuries that keep guys out a couple weeks just because we haven't really had live football. Yes, you have 7-on-7s in practice and whatnot, but this isn't game speed and this isn't the real deal.
And we'll definitely get a lot of those injuries because we're not playing the preseason games. These guys are going to not get hit by their own team. It's not going to be friendly fire. It's going to be big dudes coming at them wanting to hit. And some of these guys haven't been hit in a full calendar year. They're going to be like, they're going to probably slide into it and probably get hurt. But let's move on from this and talk, as we've done every time we preview a division, we also switch to a new position. Last week we did our top 5 NFC quarterbacks, and this week we are moving on to top 5 NFC running backs.
This week the host, the captain gets to go first.
Let's see who we got. So I've been looking at this list. I made it right before the show started because it totally skipped my mind when I was doing other stuff.
Oh,
Number 5.
He's not putting in the effort, folks. He's not putting in the effort. Number 1, Kerryon Johnson. No, I'm just kidding.
No, number 1, Adrian. Number 1's Adrian Peterson, but no.
Should be.
AP didn't make it, but number 5, I have Alvin Kamara. Now, Kamara, I almost didn't want to put him here. I was thinking about Chris Carson maybe ahead of him because Kamara, when he was the lead back, I know I saw that face like, the fuck is he talking about?
Yeah,
Kamara last year as the lead guy, he wasn't the same without Ingram, but I'm going to chalk that up to just one bad year because Kamara
he was nicked up, dude. He was nicked up.
We'll give him that. And Chris Carson, I pulled out of my ass. I don't know who I really would have put there. At number 4, Dalvin Cook. Dalvin Cook's a stud. Number 3, Zeke. Number 2, Saquads. And number 1, the best running back in the NFL, Christian McCaffrey. Now let's hear your list, brother.
Did I ever tell you about the time that I traded Antonio Brown for Christian McCaffrey in a Dynasty Fantasy League?
You may have told me, but you didn't tell the rest of them, so let's hear the whole story.
So everybody in my fantasy league and anybody that's in my league that might be listening, they gave me shit and saying that it wasn't even a fair trade, that I was getting ripped off. I was an idiot. Well, feeling pretty good. As of August 20th, 2020. Anyway, your list is okay, I guess. Dalvin Cook's too high. At number 5, I have Aaron Jones. Aaron Jones of the Green Bay Packers. I think he's deserving of this list. At 6, honorable mention, I do have Dalvin Cook. A lot of respect for Dalvin Cook. Health concerns with Dalvin Cook.
Yeah,
in my opinion.
But he's better than Aaron Jones.
Well, yeah, he's not. He's one spot worse than Aaron Jones. But no. So I'll put Aaron Jones there at 4. I'll put Alvin Kamara. I think Alvin Kamara will have a better season this year. I think the ability for Alvin Kamara to catch the ball in the backfield, just his balance and vision is fantastic. I think he's still going to be that Saints offense is going to be good because that's just what they do. They're a well-oiled machine. I expect him to be better. At 3, I will put Saquon Barkley. There's not much else to say. I don't think I need to explain it. 2, I'll put Zeke. Hey, listen, I think Zeke's going to have a good year. I think Zeke, as some said, Zeke had a down year last year. He ran for like 1,200 yards. So, okay, the offensive line is somewhat a question mark. I know we're not jumping to the NFC East here, but somewhat a question mark in Dallas with some things that have happened. You know, the retirement of Charles Frederick and just things like that. Yeah, it's somewhat of a concern, but I think Zeke is going to have a big year. And then CMC, man. I mean, tell me Christian McCaffrey is not only proving he can run between the tackles, but what he can do outside, outside the hashes and what he can do in the passing game puts him at number 1 in the entire league, in my opinion.
Yeah, there's not a better running back in the league right now. He does everything. And I don't know if you guys have noticed, but Drew's wearing a pretty nice shirt today. It's the St. Patrick's Favorite Podcast t-shirt. That is a Full Coverage Football Show t-shirt. And if you like the Full Coverage Football Show, you want to sponsor or you want to check out or just not sponsor, but you want to support us, check out our new merchandise at bonfire.com /store /FCFS/cheese or -tees. Anyway, there's some really good shirts there. We sold a few. The number one seller so far is I Like Drew and the Fat Guy. We have it in both women's and men's, and he is Drew and I am the Fat Guy, just in case you got confused. But there's a lot of stuff there. We got coffee cups. We got masks. So wear a face mask. Rock the logo.
Wear your damn masks.
Yeah, so we can get back to normalcy.
Although
maybe it works. Maybe it doesn't. I don't know.
I mean, I know we got a full pack show, but I know we got, a minute or two? Can I rant about the Big Ten real quick? Just real quick.
Rant about the Big Ten.
Okay, the Big Ten's a freaking disgrace is what the Big Ten is. So you cancel way too damn early. Okay, hey, we're going to cancel. We're getting out in front of it. All you kids, you come back to campus here at Ohio State and pay the goddamn housing fees. It's a joke. It's a joke. It's not just Ohio State. It's the entire Big Ten. You want to go ahead and cancel the season. You cancel way too damn early. Now you look like an idiot when the SEC is going to play. You lose out on recruiting. What the hell is wrong with you? And then people say, oh, there wasn't even a vote. And then you want to put your tail between your legs and come out here and say, oh, we're going to play in January. You're a freaking disgrace. It's embarrassing. You're going to lose out on recruits. It's just I can't stand the Big Ten. They did things way too damn early. The SEC is going to sit here and shit all over you like they have been for years. It's embarrassing. That's all I got. I mean, it's I just come on, man. What the hell is it? And the problem that I have is if you want to cancel the season, cancel the season. But since you canceled the season, you've backpedaled and you backpedaled and you backpedaled and you backpedaled. Now nobody even knows what the hell even happened. You're a joke conference. It's a joke conference. It's that simple.
I can't argue with the word you said. 100% right. We're going to now move on to our NFC North preview. And we're going to start with the Chicago Bears. We're going to be joined shortly here by Joseph Herff, Chicago Bears writer for BearGogglesOn.com, which is part of the Fansided Network.
Can't wait.
Yeah, my dad agrees too.
Oh, yeah, it's bullshit. It's bullshit. Sorry. That's my mother-in-law. I'm sorry, Kim. Sorry.
We got family support on the show tonight.
I got a little upset. It's just ridiculous. They just look so dumb.
Yeah. And, I mean, we're still, 2 weeks away from the first night of kickoff. It was, 2 weeks from tonight. Buckeyes are supposed to kick off against the Illini of Illinois. And
terrible team.
So, Buckeyes would have won that. I mean, they could have put out their B team and still won the game, but guess we won't get to see it. So let's start off. We are going to go on to the Bears right now. This is our NFC North 2020 preview, and we're going to be joined here by Joseph Herff. Joseph, how you doing tonight?
Good. How are you guys?
Not too bad. Hey. Thanks for joining the show. This is Joseph Herff. He is a writer for BearGogglesOn.com, part of the Fansided Network. And 2020 Chicago Bears, it's all relying on the Mitchie versus Nick Foles battle. What's going on with Mitchie and Nick Foles? Who's going to win this battle, you think?
Well, from what I've been hearing, right now Mitch has the edge. But, again, that's just what the media is saying themselves. From the first 3 days, I believe, I think Nick had the edge of the first day, and then Mitch kind of took the last 2 days. And today they said it was probably his best day he's had in his career in camp. He just looked unbelievable, according to, I think it was Adam Jans on Twitter. But I think Mitch wins it. I think both play a lot this year. I think that Mitch and Foles will play about like 10 to 6 games. Like one will play 10, one will play 6, maybe even 8 and 8, because neither will stay healthy either way, whether it's Foles' collarbone. Mitch has never played 16 games in a season. So I think you'll see both, but I think Mitch starts week 1 against the Lions, who he's played the best against in his career.
Yeah, Mitch plays well against Lions. Drew here is a huge Lions fan, and they just dominate Matt Patricia's defense every time they play. You know, I saw Mitch about a month ago at a wedding, and Mitch looks like he's in the best shape of his life right now.
That's what I've heard.
But do you think he wins the job and gets that day 1 start because he plays so well against the Lions, or because they're really trying to hold tight to the fact that he was a second overall pick in the draft, and they're going to give him another shot to start the season?
I can see both being the reason.
Okay.
I'd say Foles, honestly, like, I don't know how good the Lions are this year. I've followed them a little, but I think Foles does just as good as Mitch does against the Lions just because of the scheme that Nagy runs. I think any quarterback can hit it pretty well. But I think that they're just going to kind of give it to Mitch if he really earns it in camp. And I think he does earn it in camp. And just the fact that he's the number 2 overall pick, I think gives him a little bit of an edge too.
All right. And as far as the Nick Foles trade, when that trade happened, I hated it. I think Drew was pretty much against it, giving up a 4th-round pick for a guy with a big contract. However, I was reading your article today, and you didn't make sense in the fact that he does know the Matt Nagy offense. What are your thoughts on Nick Foles' trade, and was it a good deal when it happened?
Well, when it happened, I was probably the same as everybody, kind of in shock. Was like, why did we just do this? There's a lot of quarterbacks on the market. People are going to get cut. Draft's going to happen. We know Dalton's going to get cut. We know Newton. I don't know if Newton was cut at the time. I can't remember. Mm-hmm. But and then after a while, I took it all in and said, okay, wait. Well, with COVID coming in, it'd be kind of nice to get someone who knows the offense, knowing possibly, like at that time, we didn't know how training camp would be, how limited it would be, and how much people would play, if there'd be a preseason. Like, we didn't know any of that. So it was nice to bring in someone who knows the offense literally like the back of his hand. Like he was with Nagy in Kansas City, and that kind of revived his career because when he got sent to Kansas City, he was debating on retiring when he went to Kansas City. And then he played really well and then went to the Eagles, and the rest is history. He won a Super Bowl. And so I really like it looking now, even with the Dalton, Jameis Winston, all those signings that happened for cheap money. I still like it just because at the time it was a very smart move to be secure with their offense and to have someone that knows the offense well enough to push Mitch. Because if you bring in a guy like Dalton, sure, like Dalton's not a bad quarterback either, but he doesn't know any of the offense. Like the only guy he'd have familiarity with the Bears is Bill Lazor, their offensive coordinator, who doesn't even call plays. It's not his scheme. So yeah, I like it a lot. I like the trade a lot.
Yeah, and I mean, just my question is, as you touched on, in it's a good point that, fair enough that this offseason is kind of condensed. People that know the playbook, know the scheme are going to be great. That number, though, at the end of the day for Foles as compared to your Cam Newtons, your Jameis Winston, still has to hurt. And my question to you is what have the Bears done, in your opinion, to improve what was at times just tough to watch offense?
They brought in a new right guard, Jermaine Ifedi, who he was horrible as a right tackle, and I won't even admit that he was any good. But the only bright spot of his right tackling was his run blocking. He was a very solid run blocker. He just couldn't stop anybody rushing the passer. But when he was a right guard as a rookie, he was pretty hard to beat as a rookie and really flashed and was an absolute mauler run blocker. Like nobody could stop him. They had games where he was playing against great defense tackles and handling them. And then they moved him out to right tackle for who knows why and kept him out there for also who knows why. They brought in a new tight end in Jimmy Graham, who a lot of people didn't like the movie. With Jimmy Graham coming in, they have a better pass catcher than they do in Trey Burton that they used to have before. And Jimmy Graham may not be the sexiest signing of the offseason, but he gets open and he gets yards after the catch, as he was 5th best out of tight ends in yards after catch per reception. He'll be very reliable for whoever's that quarterback, whether it's Foles, whether the pocket collapses and they got to roll out and give it away. He'll be right there open most of the time. Drafting Cole Kmet obviously helped too, but he probably might not see the field very much early on. Sure. Ted Ginn, they had a bunch of signings that could help, but the biggest were Jermaine Ifedi and Jimmy Graham.
Sure. And then we know that the Bears have at times had 406 tight ends on the roster during this offseason. But so my question more is the injuries that we've come across here in the defensive backfield and how that's going to play on at least early on in the season until those guys can recover and hopefully see the field.
Well, Artie Burns, he tore his ACL. He won't be back, obviously, for the season. But the bright spot for the Bears is their cornerback position is fairly deep. They have I'm a huge fan of Kevin Tolliver. Obviously, he's a Bears fan. I'm a huge fan of Kevin Tolliver. He shined pretty well as an undrafted free agent. He locked down Amari Cooper for most of the game against the Cowboys. held his own against Devontae Adams. He got beat a few times, but I mean, that happens when you're a young, undrafted free agent.
And Devontae Adams is good.
Exactly. I mean, same as Amari Cooper. I mean, those aren't pushovers.
Right.
I mean,
Yep.
and then they have the rookie Jalen Johnson, who many regarded as one of the best corners in the draft until injuries kind of dropped him to the second round, and he's still recovering from that. And the safety, I mean, everywhere in the defensive backfield, they're pretty deep now. They kind of addressed that this offseason and really added a lot of depth to a lot of the positions they were injured at, like strong safety. They were kind of weak at last year, and they brought in 2 guys to fight for that spot. Nickel corner, too. They brought in depth. Just everywhere they've kind of reloaded.
Yeah, there's been a lot of turnover in that secondary, and I'm glad you brought up Kevin Tolliver. The kid's got pretty fluid hips. He's, 6'2", about 200 pounds. Definitely a solid player. And Jalen Johnson, getting him in the second round, I definitely like that. Now, before we let you out of here, I want to thank you for coming on. The Bears over-under is at 8. They were 8-8 last year. When we've done the previews, every division we've gone the over-unders. Bears over-under is 8. Are you over or under?
I'm taking the over. My prediction for them was 10-6.
Okay.
I believe. I can't remember. I haven't made full predictions, but I thought 10-6 was realistic with possible upside. But I mean, this offense is so volatile that it could go from a 13-3 team to a 3-13 team very easily with that offense and possible injuries.
Now, I know I just said we were going to get here soon, but I did want to talk about something else. You know, I read your article about Cordero Patterson. Mm-hmm. And when we've talked about Cordero Patterson on the show, we basically say the one thing he's good at is he's fast. He runs. And that's about all he's good with the credit we give him. And you actually wrote an article about possibly playing him at running back. And I think that's an excellent idea. Talk a little bit more about that.
Yeah, so I actually wrote that article back in May because the Bears weren't drafting anybody to be the guy. So I was like, okay, well, maybe they're thinking Patterson. And I guess that's what they're thinking because he's taking reps with the running backs now.
Good.
I guess the reason is obviously with depth issues. He did well in New England when he was playing running back for them for a bit when they had a load of injuries and a lot of guys were out. He did really well. He was averaging over 5 a carry, I'm pretty sure, for them when he had the ball. And I mean, it wasn't just end arounds. It was actually like dives and like actual run plays. It wasn't his normal end arounds that he does on every other team. So I think what they're going to try and do is just give him the ball in space. So like a lot of pitches, a lot of outside zone runs, just give him the ball and say do stuff with it like you do on kick returns.
Nice. One more question. I know we're done, but do you think based off the structure at running back right now that Jordan Howard is somebody that they miss? Although Jordan Howard hasn't had much success outside of that system, but inside that system with Tariq Cohen, that was something that was working really well for them at the time and could be kind of, I mean, you can't say it completely, but the fact they weren't able to run the ball downhill as efficient as they were the year before last year kind of put Mitch in a tougher spot. Yeah,
I could agree with that. I think the only reason that didn't really work last year was Montgomery was a rookie, and they had a defensive tackle starting at right guard for the whole year, and that's just you can't run the ball when you have that. And Massey and Leno both probably had the worst years of their careers. It was just a horrible offensive line, and it wasn't. I wouldn't blame Montgomery. Montgomery did what he could. Like he wasn't great either, but Howard doesn't really fit in the system, and it showed in Philadelphia as he was solid in Philadelphia, but they didn't want him back for obvious reasons.
Yeah. Well, Joseph, I want to thank you for joining us tonight.
Appreciate it.
Great job.
Of course. Thanks for having me.
Keep up the excellent work on beargoggleson.com there on the Fansided Network. And have a great rest of your night, brother, and hope to have you back on again.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Thanks again.
Appreciate it.
No problem. Yep.
Excellent work from Joseph, young kid with a lot of upside. He's written some really good articles there for beargoggleson.com. Answered a lot of questions really well. I didn't even remember that they had basically a defensive tackle starting at right guard. I know Kyle Long retired for the Bears. So usually we'd start with the Lions and the last place team in the North Division. But we're going to start with the Bears while we're talking Bears. Great in 2018, as we touched on. They had Jordan Howard. Mitchie played well. They won the division with an amazing defense. But, I mean, this year, concerns at QB. We talked about the turnover in the secondary. They brought in Robert Quinn, Nick Foles, Jimmy Graham. Names. We'll see what they do. They lost Leonard Floyd, Nick Kwiatkowski, Kyle Long retired. Clinton Dix. He's moved on to Dallas. Right?
Nick
Dallas.
Williams.
We talked about Nick Williams. They lost Artie Burns now, who was coming over from the Steelers. They lost him to an ACL injury.
And Artie Burns is a not a lockdown corner, but a everyday blue collar lunch pail corner. You would love him on the outside on your team. It's that simple. That's a huge loss for them.
Yes, it is. So when I'm looking at my notes here, Mitchie versus Nick is the key to this team. I mean, Foles was amazing in 2013, 2014, 15. He made you want to throw up when you watched him. 17 and 18, he became a playoff stud and got a statue outside Lincoln Financial Field in Philadelphia. I mean, but for me, and I like Mitchie. I had him as the number 1 ranked quarterback in that draft. I obviously was wrong. That Pat Mahomes kid is pretty good. I know the family. Mitchie's a good dude, but the best chance for the Bears to win, I really believe, is for Nick Foles to play because he has the best chance for high-end play, and he knows how to be a game manager. Now, if Michigan step up and be a solid enough game manager, I think he can be a solid quarterback. But he's really got to show that. You can't go game 1 because we talked about it. We've talked about it on the show a million times. He eats up the Lions' defense. Maybe that doesn't happen this year. Maybe it does. Go ahead.
No. You're right. You're 100% right. You see, here's the deal: is Mitch is going to start week 1. Do you disagree at all that Mitch is going to start week 1?
No,
we'll see what happens.
I don't, and I'm 100% with Joseph for that reason. He went with it's the 2nd overall pick, and because they want to give him the shot, so he nailed that.
It's his job to lose, in my opinion.
And for the kid's sake, I hope he's figuring it out. And last year,
I don't. I hope he sucks ass.
And last year, I blame Matt Nagy a lot because he didn't run the ball. That offense there was no rhythm to that offense. You didn't know what was going to happen. Is it Montgomery time this year? Are we going to see Cohen? Is it going to be Cordero Patterson?
No.
What are we going to see out of this offense?
First of all, the Cordero Patterson thing's embarrassing. I didn't want to necessarily bring it out like that to my man, but that's embarrassing as hell. Cordero Patterson at running back's a joke. So let's just put that tonight. Look, no, don't say a damn thing. We're putting that to sleep right now. Cordell Patterson's not a running back. Okay?
He could run for 1,000 yards.
Yeah, over a career.
Over 10 football fields.
Listen, I just, the thing is with the Bears, with me, I mean, I get the excitement, but that offense is terrible. And I will tell you right now, Nick Foles is maybe an upgrade, but they will hold on to Mitchie as far as they can, and it might just be too long because I don't think either quarterback can win in this division. This division isn't as bad as people want to think about it. This division has some teams. I just think that come on, Cordell Patterson, he's been in the league 400 years. Yes, he's fast, but he's not.
He can run.
Okay. So, and he can run end to end. Go in between the tackles with the hog mollies and see what happens to him.
Pulling out the hog mollies tonight. Love it.
That's all right.
But yeah, I mean, plus this offensive line, what are you going to get out of him? Like you said, Massey and Whitehair and Daniels, they basically switched positions 30 times last year. Charles Leno, great in 2018. He was terrible last year. But then you look at this defense. This defense is loaded. Khalil Mack, Akeem Harris, Eddie Jackson, Roquan Smith, Danny Trevathan.
Khalil Mack was not Khalil Mack last year.
No, that whole team wasn't who they should have been last year. Maybe he bounces back. Maybe he doesn't. Maybe he's going downhill. Maybe
Matt Nagy deserves a lot of hate too because Matt Nagy don't know how to run a damn offense either.
Hey, we said it at the end of last year. We blame Nagy a lot. I was harder on him probably than
Allen Robinson's a beast. Allen Robinson's a beast.
Allen Robinson's a beast because look at the quarterbacks he's played with so far in his career.
Ball.
He gets the ball, he makes plays, and yeah. For this team to win, though, it's 100% on what they get out of the quarterback play. I mean, with all teams it is. But for this team, they need a game-managing quarterback. They need someone to step up at wide receiver. Anthony Miller, I was a big fan of him coming out of Memphis. The dude is good, but he just hasn't put it together consistently on the football field. Bears over-under is 8. I actually have them under. I have them at 7-9, 6-10 kind of team. So I'm going to take the under on the Bears. Where are you at with their win total?
1, 2 wins.
1 or 2 wins?
No, I got them at 6-10. Finishing in the basement of the NFC North. Trash team. Cordell Patterson. Please feel Cordell Patterson a running back.
Hey, go on beargoggleson.com. Read that article. It was a pretty solid article. I did enjoy it. part of the reason why we had him on tonight.
I love the guy. Listen,
I'm just saying he made some good points with it, but I'm with you. I don't know if that works. But they got to do something to get that offense going. Maybe they figure out, hey, maybe they go Daniel Kelly.
Quarterback that doesn't suck ass.
Maybe they go the Daniel Kelly route. They don't punt, and they play two quarterbacks, Foles and Mitchie.
The problem is Mitchie can't complete a pass over 6 yards. So if it's anything over that, you have to punt. You must.
But he can use his legs. That's what Mitch. If this team's going to be good and Mitch is going to start, he needs to use his legs again because that's what he stopped doing last year. And I think we need to move on from the Bears before both of us lose our goddamn minds. So let's move on.
Pisses me off.
Let's move on to the team whose One Pride logo is sitting right behind you. Lions of Detroit.
Yeah.
Fear the Roar. 3-12-1. They added a lot of guys. Desmond Trufant, 2 years, $21 million. Javon Curse. Jamie Collins, basically, if you were a Patriot, they added you. Chase Daniel, Duron Harmon, Danny Shelton, and a tackle. They added 5-year, $50 million deal for Halapulavati Vaitai. And
we just call him Big B. Hey, yeah, we just call him Big B, baby. That's what we call him. Yeah.
My goal was to be able to get it out and not stutter through it. I think I did all right.
You did a good job.
You look at the guys they brought in. They're okay. They're solid. Maybe Jamie Collins can do something. Maybe Des Trufant is going to be okay. But you look at the guys they lost. 3 guys here that they lost I think are better than almost anyone they brought in. Darius Slay, Mike Daniels, and Graham Glasgow. I mean,
2. I can agree with 2 of those. I mean, I don't know what the hell you think Mike Daniels is.
Mike Daniels, when he's healthy.
No, Mike Daniels is a goddamn. He's a goddamn. He holds a communion tray at church. I mean, come on, he's not going to get out of here.
Listen, I've watched Danny Shelton. Danny Shelton, when Danny Shelton doesn't want to play, Danny Shelton's basically good as me going out there.
And he's super nice when he doesn't want to play either.
Exactly. So those guys, when they don't want to play, they're worthless. Danny Shelton, I ran into him at the airport. Rookie season. Huge dude. I'm like, what's up, Danny? He's, hey, how you doing? Softest voice, nicest dude, really chill dude. I hope his best because I like the kid. Really good player when he wants to be. Jamie Collins, if he gets pushed, can be solid, but he was terrible in Cleveland. But it's year 3 of Matty P, baby. 9-22-1 in his first 2 years, and the offense is a strength and the defense sucks. I mean, the offense looked good last year until Staff went down. I mean, he was good, increased his average depth of target by 4 yards per throw. He would look more like a gunslinger than he had in years past. It was high risk, high reward. Your run game was okay. Carry-on wasn't as good as we hoped, or as many hoped. I had him on like all my fantasy teams. I really thought he was going to be good. But he graded well in the pass game, and he's going to get spelled a lot this year. Wide receiver, you got the quiet weapon in Kenny Golladay, who not enough people still talk about, but one of the top vertical threats in the game.
MJJ, man. Marvin Lewis. Marvin Lewis would catch 0 passes, dude. 0 fucking passes.
Marvin Jones, still a solid weapon. I mean, all this is great, but that defense, man, they play heavy man defense, and it's just not worked out. What are your Lions going to do this year? Take this over. I'm going to sit back and let you talk.
No. I get the last word on
later.
The Lions. I get the last word on the Lions.
Hey, that's all I got to say about the Lions. And I'm going to give you my over-under on them, and then I'll get it to you. Their over-under is 6.5. And this is hard for me because I'm a big Staff fan. I like DeAndre Swift. I like the addition of Jonathan Williams. You still got Bo Scarborough. You got a bunch of running backs who can pound the ball. If Staff stays healthy, and if TJ Hawkinson steps up and can block and can get open and just be a guy in the middle of the field to open things up, I think the Lions can win 8 games. But the defense, still, something has to change on the defense. The over-under 6.5. I'm still going to take the over. I have the Lions at 7-9. And now it's your turn.
You said if things go well, they can go 8-8. Oh Christ!
It's all the Lions and the Browns. Every time I talk Lions or Browns, I expect all hell to break loose. 2020, all these people are like, well, maybe next year will be better. Now they all know what it's like to be a Browns fan or a Lions fan. We're always hoping for next year. But
yeah, I mean, personally, Where do I start? All right. So, yeah, they lose Darius Slay, which isn't great. Graham Glasgow, which is one of the better guards in the entire league. So I don't like either of those. However, you want to talk about the people they brought in. They brought in Desmond Trufant, Danny Shelton, Jamie Collins. I know Danny Shelton, Jamie Collins, Dick Williams, Chase Daniel. So those are just the free agents they bring in. So let's basically put it like this. So you have Jeff Okuda, they draft number 1. Okay, you say, hey, he's Darius Slay's replacement, which he's not at this point of his career. That's just not. He's going to have to build into that cornerback position. Now, where things start to get a little bit more interesting is in the running back room, where they did draft DeAndre Swift, who was probably the most elusive back in this draft out of Georgia. It does add a interesting, different element it adds an interesting element to the 1-2 punch, what you think Kerryon Johnson, hopefully with less load on him, will be able to run the football. To me, personally, where I love DeAndre Swift is in the passing game and his ability out of the backfield. I think he reminds me a lot of Alvin Kamara, a little bit different build, but a little bit younger in the career. Yeah, listen, the Lions have issues. If we want to talk about the issue, there's the elephant in the damn room. And every single Lions fan you talk to is going to say, well, the elephant in the room is it's the defensive line. It's as simple as that. So they draft Julian Okwara. You have Trey Flowers who you like. There's nobody really in the inside. Yes, you want to plug in. You want to say Danny Shelton's in the inside. Danny Shelton's a mediocre ass football player in the NFL. We know what it is. We've seen it. Seen it over and over. So the problem with me is the Lions, in my opinion, have not addressed the defensive line position enough this offseason. The Julian Okwara pick from Notre Dame does excite me because I do think the dude has potential off the edge. The Lions just have been banged up on the defensive line. But if you think of the draft, you add Cephas out of Wisconsin, I think the Lions are going to be decent. I'm just worried defensively, man. I'm worried about getting pressure on the quarterback. I'm going to go 9-7. 9-7. Give me the over. Homer pick. Give me the over with the 9-7.
Both of us going over. I got a 7-9. You got a 9-7. Listen, I love that offense. I'm a big staff fan. I have been a big staff fan for a long time. But that defense, it does worry me because I just don't know, not only player-wise, but scheme-wise. I mean, we've gone over the numbers, the analytics part of the numbers.
Well, they got to put pressure on the quarterback, dude.
Yeah, absolutely. And Okwara, solid player, kind of reminds me of Barkevious Mingo. I hope he's way better. But he's a guy who definitely has bend. He's definitely a good player coming off the edge. And I think if Flowers steps up and can anchor that defense, it can open things up for him. But yeah, the Lions, the 7-9, if things go well, it's mainly because of this division. I think this division is pretty jam-packed. I think they're all pretty solid teams. I don't have any of the teams winning more than 10 or 11 games. I don't think anyone's going 13-3 again. I don't think anyone's going 3-12-1. So this is definitely a team that can be all over the board. And it's all on Matt Stafford and what we get out of that defense and how much Matty P gets out of them. I mean, this team, they fired a guy who got to the playoffs to bring in Matty P, who's done absolutely nothing. I know you're a huge Matt Patricia fan, but I'm not, man.
Okay, none of those things that you said. I mean, I'm not a huge Matt Patricia fan. I'll tell you what, if he wins 11 games, I'll be a huge Matt Patricia fan.
Does Matt Patricia keep his job at 9-7? Matthew asks. What do you think?
No. Well,
no.
Yes. Yep, he does.
9-7 and no playoffs, or 9-7 and a wild card?
Extra wild card. He will make playoffs 9-7.
Yeah.
That's my opinion. I think it's going to make playoffs 9-7. I think not. Well, we'll go on with the division, but I think the Lions finishing second at 9-7. I think that's a wild card. And I think if they make the wild card, then yes, I think he keeps his job. Do I like Matt Patricia? I bet you Matthew Graydon could tell you exactly how I feel about Matt Patricia almost as much as you could. So that's where we're at. Okay, so I would love for Matt Patricia to keep his job because that means he isn't completely terrible.
I was going to rock this pencil behind my ear here, but yeah, Matty P at 9-7, he should be fired unless they do make the playoffs at that.
You should have been fired last year. What the hell are you talking about?
You did say that. You were on that train. And now, boys and girls, we're going to move on to a brand new segment on the show. If I can get it to work.
Yes, Damn. Let's go. New segment. Oh. Backdraft. Oh.
Backdraft, baby.
Oh, there it is.
This segment, Backdraft. Yes, I am rocking the cool fire hat. I got to remove this little thing from the screen here. Give me a second, and I will get this back on track. But yeah, Backdraft, 2018 Lions draft. With this segment, we are going to go back 3 years in the draft. So Backdraft. Thus the name, plus the cool fire hat from Firehouse Subs. Hey, Firehouse Subs, if you're watching this, sponsor us. We like subs. Anyway.
We do.
The 2018 Lions draft. You go back 3 years. That's how you say you can really determine how good a draft is. You go back 3 years. So we are going to open this segment with the 2018 Lions draft. And in this draft, the Lions got 6 players, and all 6 of those players are still on the roster, which in itself is pretty impressive. In the first round at pick 20, they took Frank Ragnow, center out of Arkansas. Second round, pick 11, Kerryon Johnson out of Auburn. Round 3, pick 18, Tracy Walker out of Louisiana Lafayette. Round 4, pick 14, Deshaun Hand out of Alabama. Round 5, pick 16, a guy I like that I didn't think would fall this low, Tyrell Crosby, a tackle out of Oregon. And in the 7th round, pick 19, fullback Nick Bowden out of San Diego State, who in 10 games has 4 catches for 17 yards. This draft, all 6 guys still on, which is impressive. This is a pretty solid draft for the Lions. Overall, you got 3 guys who start, 4 guys maybe. Tyrell Crosby, I think, is a guy who should be able to eventually start in this league.
He's a rotational guy.
He is a rotational guy. I mean, this is a damn good draft. This is definitely a solid B draft. You don't have that top-of-the-line player. But you said it before. Who do you think is the best player in this draft class?
This is Bob Quinn's draft. Mm-hmm. This is Bob Quinn's best draft that he had. The best player in this draft, Tracy Walker.
He had, 103 tackles last year playing safety?
Yeah, and keep in mind, too, we talked about it, the inability of the Lions to get to the quarterback. All that does is destroy defensive backs. Mm-hmm. I think Tracy Walker's fantastic. Came out of a smaller school. It was a great draft pick. Listen, yes, I know there was a carry-on. This draft class was Bob Quinn's best draft class. No questions asked about it. I mean, Frank Ragnow is a damn good top 12 center in the league. That's all you want. Kerryon Johnson. We'll see about Kerryon Johnson. We'll see with his new. I feel like Kerryon Johnson does not have to take the brunt of the carries this year. He'll be able to be a spell back with DeAndre Swift. So I think he's going to be better. When it comes to the later in that draft, Deshaun Hand, when healthy, can get pressure on the quarterback. It's that simple. He just hasn't been healthy. Mm-hmm. And you, like you said, Tyrell Crosby, he's a rotational offensive lineman, in my opinion, and he's a plug and play, not a plug and pray. He's a guy that you can put right in there, and he's a great backup guy at any guard position. And then finally, Nick Bodwin is going to be the starting fullback. So you look at this draft. I mean, we'll take this draft. This is a backdraft of great times. Usually it's backdraft of hell. You want to go to the Tease Tabor draft, which is the year before. I mean, I'll sit here and cut my wrists.
It's a good thing we did 2018 then. We don't need to see that live on the pod, even though it might get good ratings. You never know. But definitely one of the better drafts for the Lions as far as I can remember. And when we go back in these drafts, usually, especially with our teams, the Browns and the Lions, it's usually just it's awful to look back at. And I know it sounds like I'm just unbelievably amazed that all these guys are still on the roster in, the third year, but that doesn't happen with a lot of teams. So for all 6 of these guys still be on the roster, kudos to Bob Quinn on this. He hasn't got a ton right.
Dude, Tracy Walker
But
going to be a beast. Look
Tracy
out.
Walker.
Lions fans, Tracy Walker, that dude.
And the Ragnow pick, man, it's just a solid pick. You can't go wrong with it. The kid's going to be out there, lunch pail. He's going to put on his helmet and go to work every single day.
Yeah, I'm ready.
And ladies and gentlemen, that was our debut of our brand new segment, Backdraft. And now
everybody appreciates your helmet too. They do. I appreciate it especially.
And now we will give me Swift over Johnson as a starting running back.
Won't happen. Not in
possible.
a Matt Patricia ran offense. Kerryon Johnson will be the starter for the beginning of the year. But you're right. DeAndre Swift certainly has the possibility to take over that job.
And I think the thing with Kerryon is, he had the injuries last year, but he was also not playing with Matt Stafford. We didn't get to see who he really was. Rookie year playing with Matt, he was a lot better. But let's move on. Continue our NFC North preview here. Let's go to the Vikings. Second place last year at 10-6. They lost a lot. They lost a hell of a lot. Stephon Diggs, Trey Waynes, Everson Griffin, Mackenzie Alexander, Xavier Rhodes, all these guys are gone. All played big roles last season. And you added Michael Pierce, a fullback, and C.J. Ham, Ezra Cleveland, Justin Jefferson. So for this team at 10-6, their over-under is 9 this year. And I'm looking at this team, and I think Cousins needs to stay efficient if they want to do anything. He needs to stay efficient, kind of be exactly what he was last year. They need to make the play action work. Dalvin Cook needs to be healthy. He needs to be on the field. If they're giving him a contract, they need to take care of it. Play action is how this offense will live and die. A guy I do want to touch on here, Justin Jefferson's in. He's going to be the guy they look to replace Stephon Diggs. But he's not going to be – I don't think he's going to be great right off the bat. He's going to struggle off the bat. A guy that no one's looking at that I want to look at is Tajay Sharp. This guy, when he was healthy with the Titans, he was able to make plays. What I think he can do – exactly, with Mariota. So this guy is a guy who can stretch the field, which I don't think anyone else on that roster right now does. I don't think Thielen's a guy who stretches the field. He gets open. He's a guy I think is going to make a key role in this offense if he stays healthy in opening things up underneath. Because underneath, you're going to have Thielen. You're going to have Irv Smith, who I think gets a better role this year. Kyle Rudolph is still there. Yeah. Hell of a duo at tight end. They complement each other. And when you look at the defense, your linebackers are solid in Kendricks and Barr. In the draft, they got cornerbacks in Jeff Gladney, who I think is going to start day one. Cameron Dantzler, who ran a horrible 40, but is a talented dude. We'll see if that 40 kills him. I mean, you got Harris, you got Harrison Smith. I mean, the back half of this defense, good, but that front half, that front four especially, that defensive line, I'm not 100% sold on it. I can't see the Vikings winning 10 games this year. Their over-under is 9. I actually have them under. I've got them as an 8-8 football team.
Okay, perfect. I got them as 10-6 football team. Yeah, I agree that you're right. They have had some big losses. They're still, that defense is still anchored by Harrison Smith. They're still going to be able to apply pressure at the quarterback. Mike Zimmer's a wonderful coach. I think offensively, they're going to pound the football. Dalvin Cook's health certainly plays a factor in any over-under with the Minnesota Vikings. Because he's kind of the bell cow, and you alluded to it. The play action with that team is their greatest asset, and that actually offers the tight ends to run those seam routes or get to the outside of the hash marks. I think that's very important to them. Yeah, the Stephon Diggs it's going to be a huge loss, and I think it's going to take a while. But Justin Jefferson, to me, is a very clean and proficient route runner. I think he'll fit right in. I look for them to go 10-6.
That's definitely a possibility. I mean, they're anywhere between 8 and 11 wins probably for me. So now that you said they're 10-6, you had the Lions at 9-7.
Correct.
We're going to move on to the Packers here in a second, but I do want to touch on Justin Jefferson. I did say that I don't think he's going to do well right off that, but by the second half of the season, I think he'll be very good. He is a very good player, perfect fit for that offense. And they're basically, he said today to the media that they're basically running LSU's offense. So he's going to pick it up, but the speed of the NFL, it's going to take him a little getting used to. So the Vikings, you got him at 10-6. I got him at 8-8. This division, it's going to be tight. We'll see what happens here. Now let's move on to the team that was 13-3. 13-3 last year, the Green Bay Packers. Aaron Rodgers, he's leading the team still. Matt LaFleur's first year. What are they going to do this year? They brought in Jordan Love as their first-round pick. You know that they were not, or that Aaron Rodgers, who we do have on our T-shirt store, which we have put up here a couple times. It's check out our new merchandise at bonfire.com/store/FCFS-tees. We do have an Aaron Rodgers shirt up there, even though we can't call it that due to trademark restrictions. It does say Green Bay quarterback, and on the back it does say cockbag, which if you watched the show last week, you know that was Drew's thing, and it's hilarious, and we went with it. But this team, 13-3, bring in Jordan Love as your first-round pick, which is weird because this is a team set up to win now. They added Christian Kirksey, Rick Wagner, Mercedes Lewis, and Devin Funchess. But they lost Blake Martinez. They lost Brian Bulaga. They lost Geronimo Allison. They lost Jimmy Graham. I mean, at quarterback, Aaron Rodgers is still a stud. The guy makes easy plays work all the time. He seems to hit the plays when they're there, and he avoids negative plays. He doesn't turn the ball over. Aaron Jones, efficient as hell, a very good running back, even though he's not better than Dalvin Cook. And they added A.J. Dillon, 250-pound wrecking ball there to just pound the ball to spell Aaron Jones, which I totally like that pick. I think that'll come in handy.
Eddie Lacy?
Yeah, basically what he is, but just run straight forward. That's all he needs to do. And then at wide receiver, the wide receiver core is really weird because you've got Devontae Adams, who is a stud in this league. And then you got a bunch of 6'5" guys. It's like, hey, what are you? Hey, we're tall and we can run. You've got Marquez Valdez-Scantling, Devin Funchess, Jake Kumaro, Equinemius St. Brown. I mean, all those dudes are like 6'4", 6'5", and can run. But are they going to be able to make plays? Are they going to be able to do anything for Aaron Rodgers? When you look at the defense, I mean, they're solid. You've got Jerry Alexander, Kevin King, Kenny Clark's a stud. They're really going to need Rashawn Gary to step up this year if they want to continue to be the top team in this division. This division is not easy. They're not going 13-3. Their over-under is 9. And I have them at 10-6. I'm going to take the over. And now I'm curious to see where you have them.
Yeah, it's just a weird team. To me, I worry about the team's chemistry. I mean, they basically said, "Hey, Aaron Rodgers, go to hell." Mm-hmm. They didn't apply him with any sort of weaponry at all. When it was all available, as we alluded to on our 14-hour draft show, that wide receivers were plentiful. And they refused to add a wide receiver. You want to give me Marquez Valdez-Scantling? Who, that's
MVS, baby.
In the NBA, that's like Contavious Caldwell-Pope. Nobody gives a shit. Listen, I mean, to me, I think the taste in Aaron Rodgers' mouth, I think things are kind of coming to a little bit of it. And Aaron Rodgers is somebody that's going to show his feelings on his chest. And I think as the season progresses, don't get me wrong, A.J. Dillon looks like the second coming of Bo Jackson, but I think he's the third coming of Eddie Lacy.
The third helping of Eddie Lacy?
Yeah. I think he'll end up eating Eddie Lacy. But no, I think to me the Packers take a step back. I think they finished third in this division.
Okay.
Third at 9-7. Same record as the Lions, but we will beat them twice.
So the over-under is 9. You're taking the push on that one.
Ain't no problem.
All right. This is an interesting division. I think any of these teams could actually win the division. if a few things.
The Lions
right.
won't win the Lions won't win the division. They haven't won the division since I can remember walking. So they're not going to win. But I think they can. I think they can finish second. I mean, I do. And listen, that might be people saying I'm a homer picking the Lions to go 9-7. But Jesus Christ, it's not 15-1. I mean, come on now. What am I doing here? Like, it's not like I'm going crazy.
No, I mean, I picked them to go 7-9, but I can see the 9-7. So I mean, I can't call you a homer on that one. But yeah, it's definitely an interesting division. A lot of fun to cover this division. Next week, you want to do NFC South or you want to go West next week?
Oh, South. Oh, South.
So we'll go South next week, and then we'll finish our preview in 2 weeks with the NFC West. And then 3 weeks from tonight, I believe,
Gronk.
is football time. Football on a Thursday night to open the season, I believe. We have football in 3 weeks.
We haven't done a show / podcast since with a Thursday night game.
Mm-hmm.
That's just when we hit full blown let's go mode.
So I think for that week, 3 weeks from now, we should get our roundtable going where we talked about we'll do the Hall of Famer thing. We'll see who wants to talk Hall of Famers. We'll see who wants to come on the show. Maybe we'll get a roundtable of some sort going. We'll see who's interested in that. We'll talk more about it coming up. But I do want to give you an update. The Blazers are getting destroyed right now by the Lakers, 56-39 at half. And that sucks because I wanted to see the Lakers get swept.
Everybody hates LeBron.
Before we do anything else tonight, anything else you want to talk about?
No, man. I'm excited. We'll move forward here. I'm hopefully football as is. Again, the Big Ten can suck one, and we'll move on. Thank you to our guests.
Absolutely. Thank you to Daniel Kelly. That's at Daniel Kelly Book on Twitter. Check out his book. It's on Amazon.com. It's on Barnes & Noble's. It is Whatever It Takes, the true story of an NFL fan making it to the NFL. I don't know if I hit the end part right, but it's something like that. It's Whatever It Takes by Daniel Kelly. So go ahead and find that. Let me figure it out. True story of a fan making it in the NFL. Daniel Kelly was a really fun guest because basically he can talk. He's excitable.
I love it. I love
a lot of fun.
Yep.
And
we're gonna have him back on.
He's definitely an FCFS FOTS
friend of the show. Yeah.
Damn right.
Yeah, absolutely.
Joseph Herff, young kid, first time he'd ever been on a podcast. I mean, as a guest, I believe. Awesome to have him on.
I tried to not destroy him. I tried to not destroy his Cordell Patterson. But listen, brother, if you come back, I'm going to wipe you up with the Cordell Patterson. You better come with better heat.
We will warn him for that, and I do want to warn Daniel when he comes back on. We did talk about the Daniel Kelly thing with the Cleveland Browns, but he tweeted out that if he had the number 1 pick that year with the Browns, he would have taken Bryce Love number 1. And I don't know if that was before the injury or after, so I do want to talk to him eventually about that. And if we have him on, maybe Bryce Love will have played a little bit for the Redskins or the Washington football team, the Washington namelessness at that point.
You keep that word out your mouth.
My bad. I apologize. I sound like Tom Brenneman over here. How about that? Did you see the Tom Brenneman thing?
Yeah. Oh, and there's a home run.
I'm apologizing, but I'm going to still call the Nick Castellanos home run. A lot of fun. Great show tonight, man. It was a lot of fun. We're at about an hour and a half, but it flew by. For at least me. I hope for everyone watching it did. Thank you to everyone listening on the audio version. You can catch it on Spotify, iHeart, you name it. We are there wherever you listen to podcasts. Check us out on YouTube. Check us out on Facebook, fb.me/FCFSpod. Hit us up on Twitter at FCFSpod, at Detroit Dave 7, at Somerville CLE. This is the Full Coverage Football Show. And remember, as always, if you live the life you love, you'll love the life you live. Good night, kids.